Hello, friends. In the last episode, we had to cut down a little because of time constraints. And today, I intend to complete those few points that I had to make on family ships, family relationships. I shall delve briefly into it, take a few minutes over it, and then I shall go on to the topic of today, which is relationships with spouses. Okay, so let's just get to the point. So today, continuing with the family relationship topic, I talk of some tips for the children. Just like the parents' tips that we talked of last time, today we're going to talk of some tips for the children on how to maintain family relationships. First and foremost, you need to remember that there is a generation gap. And long live that gap, because of the generation gap, we make progress. We we weed out the old and we bring in the new. So there will be a generation gap, but you need to be mindful about it and not resent it. Okay. Your parents will definitely have a different view to life than the one that you have, for the simple reason that you are living in a different world. And in today's world, the world is changing so fast that even within your life cycle, you will have to change to keep pace with just everybody. Forget your children alone. Okay. So, with the way change is happening, that generation gap widens. And that is why you need to be very mindful about it and understand that. Always respect their ideas, the parents' ideas. They are not wrong, they may be outdated. So respect their ideas, listen to what they have to say, and then patiently explain to them your viewpoint and also simultaneously explain to them how the world is changing. Because when you reason with them, they will accept the new thought, so to say. So I'll give you an example. Sometime back I was working from a co-working space. Okay, and I was probably, no, not probably, I was definitely the oldest guy there. And I used to talk to these youngsters who were all in their mid-20s to 30, mid-30s. And most of them didn't want to buy a car. It started with that. We got on to houses also later. But most of them didn't want to buy a car. So I said, why? There is a simple thing is that Uber in today's world, you get an air-conditioned car, chauffeur-driven. You don't have to look for parking. You don't have to worry about the traffic and driving through the traffic. And you have a chauffeur-driven car at your beck and call. So why do you need a car of your own? You have to look for parking. You have to, if you don't have a driver, you are driving through all that traffic, lots of hassles. In the same way about the house. Okay. They said, why should I buy a house? Because then I'm stuck to it. He's saying, right now, I go and rent a place near where I'm working. I don't want to spend 2 hours of my life every day commuting to and from work. Makes a lot of sense. But then we, my generation, the older people, look at house as a security and as a sense of achievement. I have my own house. That's a big statement. So thoughts change. Be specially caring and tender as your parents start growing up. Okay, they'll start behaving differently. And well, they say, that old age is like a second childhood. So they may pretty well start behaving like that. Their faculties don't respond as well. They start deteriorating. Okay, so during these times, you need to be there for them. You need to understand that they are going through a physical change, okay, which is way beyond their control, no matter how hard they try. Yeah, it depends. In some people, it starts at the age of 70. In some people, it starts at the age of 90. But somehow or the other, it always comes. And you need to be always there for them, not only in these periods, but at all times during your life. Okay. Yes, there will be a time when you will have a family of your own. You will have your spouse, your children. And naturally, I'm not going to tell you to forget about it. You have to pay more attention to them. That is your core nuclear family at that stage. But as I mentioned in my friendship episode, do not forget the past relationships because new ones come up. Okay, so don't ignore the past. The past relationships is your parents. Okay, so on your siblings, but don't ignore them. You have to work out a balance. At the same time, your spouse and your children should get their fair share of your time and attention. Teach your children to love and respect their grandparents. I'm very, very lucky in that aspect. My children make sure that I talk to their children regularly, that we stay in touch. And it's such a beautiful feeling. You know, I mean, as they say, the interest is better than the principal. Well, psychologically, that may be true, but then grandchildren are always great fun. Then there comes the topic which we mentioned last time about extended family, which we did not get a chance to cover. So if you're staying in a joint family under one roof, then all your uncles, aunts, and everybody need to be treated as you would treat a nuclear family. Okay. In fact, I know houses where there are three brothers staying together who have their children, maybe 6 or 8 of them, who have their children, maybe another 10, 12 of them. And I don't know who is the father of which child, but they know everything very well and they are all treated equally and respected equally. Okay? So that is what is important. So when it comes to a joint family, it is much easier because you know how to behave with your nuclear family. But when it comes to an extended family who's staying away from you, okay, with these people, you need to be yourself. That's the first and important thing. Don't try to project an image that is not you because you can't live it constantly. Stay comfortable and close. Feel like a team with them. Okay, trust them all. There is no question. You have to, the basis is trust. Trust them all. And you have to behave and respond in a way that they will trust you. There will be issues, just like you have with your nuclear or joint family. There will be issues with people who are staying away, although they are staying away and not in your face all the time. Resolve these issues with proper communication, discussions, and understanding. Once you have learned all of this, you're well on your way to a good family relationship. And let me tell you, in my life, I have seen 4 generations, 5 generations of families living together under the same roof. You have the great-grandparents, his 3 children, their 7, 8 children, as I was just talking about, their children, and then their children's children. So I've seen 4 and 5 generations staying together under one roof, and they live in such bliss. It is unimaginable. Okay. At the same time, on the other end, I have seen just 2 generations, that is the parents and the children living together, where the children cannot or do not even talk to each other. And in most of these situations, I would think all of the situations, it has been only a matter that these children have started, and most of us today have started praying at the altar of money. We've made money our God, and that is the root cause of a lot of these problems. So having said this about families, now let us come up to today's topic, and that is how you would look at spousal relationships. A spousal relationship is very, very special by nature because it starts with just 2 people who are friends, and then they graduate from being friends to a couple maybe. But that relationship which started between just 2 people slowly, steadily keeps expanding going to a family relationship, where that couple will have their own family, and just everything we talked about in the family episode. So there are multiple personalities with multiple requirements who come into play in a relationship that essentially started with just two. So as this relationship expands, the original two, that is the spouse and the couple, okay, they need to be sure that they are a team, a strong team, and have each other's backs. Adjusting as this relationship expands is very challenging. And in Indian society, it is even more challenging for the female of that relationship because she is coming into a completely new family. Okay, so you need to be very, very careful. A spousal relationship cannot be successful if both the persons who are in that relationships are not comfortable, and there needs to be a continuous two-way traffic. It cannot be one way where one of the spouses is giving everything, is sacrificing everything, and the other is just getting. Can't work, at least not for long. So there needs to be a two-way traffic at all times. And there are a lot of things that go into making of a healthy spousal relationship, whether in the initial stages or whether in the stages where it has expanded into a family relationship. So some of the ingredients that we are going to look at today, and they are all no-brainers, so to say. I don't really need to explain them. I'm just going to say those ingredients for your ready reference and for you to keep in mind, saying that these are the things I need to be careful about. The first and foremost is trust. There's nothing that can beat that. The second is honesty. If you're not honest with your partner, that relationship cannot last. Respect. You need to respect your partner. After all, that person is your better half. You need to love. I mean, there's no other thing. Even in an arranged marriage, at the end of the day, you will start loving each other. You need to have a friendship. Most relationships, spousal relationships, begin as friends. Don't let that friendship die. Make sure it stays alive. Even after two children, even my children, they are both parents now. My son is the parent of a 9-year-old, and yet he and his wife go out for dates even today alone. So that's important. Keep that friendship alive. Keep humility in your behavior. Be open and honest in your communication. Always be fair in your dealings with your spouse, and support the partner whenever the need arises. Let there be a great understanding between you and your partner, and always be ready to compromise. Everything is not going to be 100% the way you want it, the way your partner wants it, or that you're going to agree 100% on everything. There will be differences. Long live those differences, okay? Because you can't, if you are eradicating them, then you are not being you, or the partner is not being him or her, and you're trying to be a we by giving up too much. Okay, so make sure that you are compromised. There should be intimacy, the right time, the right place. There should be a balance of power. Don't just say that everything happens as you do. It's the surest way to destroy a relationship. And I know this personally. I've seen such relationships being destroyed. Give space. Respect the privacy. Respect the individuality. Respect the independence of each other. Okay? There will be times when your partner wants to share time with his friends. When your partner wants to be alone, he wants to do things where he's alone. He wants to do things, follow up on his hobby, follow up on things he likes. Don't grudge him that. Let him. He is a person, after all, who has his own likes, dislikes, just like you. Okay? Be patient. Set boundaries. This is very important. And most couples I see have not done it very well. Okay, so set boundaries. There are different kinds of boundaries. You have to set physical boundaries. Like I know at one stage, my wife used to be very, very embarrassed if I would do a public display of affection. PDAs were not allowed. Okay. And alone time. There are times when I wanted alone time. There are times when she wanted alone time. We have to respect that physical boundary. Then you have to respect the emotional boundary. I know couples where one of them wants to post everything on social media, the status and this and that, and where they are going, whereas the other partner is not very comfortable with that. For whatever reason, don't do it then. Control yourself and always express your love. Yeah, I know there are times when I don't do it either, but express your love. There will be sexual boundaries. I'm not going to delve into this because this recording is meant for children, but you need to remember that. Set digital boundaries. As I said, you can't post everything. Okay. And don't use your partner's phone if they don't like it, because that will seem like you are prying. And more often than not, that's what is the idea behind using your partner's phone. Set boundaries on material stuff. I know cases where partners are not very happy letting their partners use their stuff. It could be a variety of reasons. That partner doesn't treat it well, that partner will not put it back properly, that partner will not use it carefully, whatever the reason. If that partner is not comfortable, don't set boundaries, don't share materials. Spiritual. This I have seen personally within my relatives, where spiritualism has destroyed relationships. You become too spiritual. You focus on nothing else in life, and the partner cannot accept that. So whether it is religion or whether it's following a guru, you do your thing, but within a reasonable limit. Okay? And at the same time, you have to be sure you do not enforce it on your partner or even on the family as a whole. You are free to do what you want, but you cannot impose your religion, your guru's beliefs on anybody. If they want, they will accept it willingly and ride with you. If not, let them be. So when setting such boundaries, you need to let your partner know very clearly and explicitly what are the boundaries, why you are setting them. Because your partner understands he's more likely to appreciate them and follow them. Especially with the non-negotiables. Tell him that these are non-negotiables and why they are non-negotiables, and that person will do his utmost to make sure that he follows those boundaries. But be ready, boundaries are going to be crossed. Nobody is perfect. You will cross the boundary your spouse has set, your spouse is going to do the same thing. There will be. So whenever boundaries are crossed, be open and honest and discuss it. Tell him or her why he crossed the boundary. What happened to you when he crossed the boundary? How did you get hurt, if at all? How did you get disturbed? Whatever it is, be very clear, be very calm, and explain it. And along with the explanation, tell that person of what else he can do or what signs he should look for so that he does not cross it again. So tackle it very calmly, no fighting over it. Okay. Then you need to have a clear-cut channel of communication. When you speak, be open and be honest. When you're speaking of negatives, sprinkle some positives into them, but make sure that everything goes clearly and calmly. And when you listen, listen with full attention. Pay attention to your spouse is saying and respond and prepare your response after your spouse has finished speaking. Don't try framing your response as soon as the person starts talking, because then you're not going to hear everything properly and understand it properly. So ensure an open communication. And this is something I'd read some time back. Follow the 5-5-5 rule. 5 minutes of talking by one of the spouse, another 5 minutes of talking by the other spouse, and at the end of it, 5 minutes of discussion between both the spouses. I love that idea. If every resolve can be solved in just 15 minutes, you're in bliss. Final 2 pointers that I want to really give you is, although you are together and you are a we, never forget that your partner and you are also primarily me's. You become a we when you get together, but you are primarily by birth, from birth till you met, and even now you are also me's. So each partner must feel comfortable in expressing their opinions and their concerns when the two me's are talking. Okay. And when you are expressing your opinion and the other person is listening, he is going to counter back. Listen to his counters with an open mind. Be reasonable. Don't think that what you have said is the ultimate truth. It may not be. So be ready to reason. And when that partner is giving you a counter, sit back. You're intelligent enough to sit back and think, is this the right thing to do or not? So compromise whenever necessary, negotiate whenever necessary. And the final point, not a great point, but final point, when relationships end, and many do, let go with grace. Do not stop the person after that. Do not degrade the person. Do not backbite and bitch about the person. And if possible, ideally remain friends, even when a relationship ends. Thank you. I know again I've shot, that's because of the first part of the episode, but I hope you do enjoy it. Please listen to it carefully. It's going to make your life much better. Thank you and have a great day.